Hello everyone, Kenty Tiger here with Bengali Engineering and Play. We are headed into Space Engineers. What I wanted to do is actually show some of the mods. This is my standard building world, is what I call it. And it's literally just empty space with no mouse working. Um, just empty space with a bazillion asteroids everywhere. And I have imported a couple large-scale asteroids that I used to use for testing. So probably if there's anything that I've really had a lot of fun with, it's mining. The concept behind these asteroids, they're 5 kilometers across, which is actually the largest asteroid you can build, well, really within the mid-space admin helper commands. So there may be a way to do that. I've never learned how to do anything outside of those parameters. But what it is it's a obviously a very large asteroid, 5 kilometers across. That's pretty good sized, and it has all of the various ores for the game. So they're all right there in one place. So more ore than you could ever mine in a lifetime. There they are. So there's 2 of those things. They're hiding out. They're actually not too far from the center. One is at 10,000 by 3. The other's at 20,000 by 3. And what I mean by 3 is XYZ. So not very hard to find, but very close to the center of the universe here. So let's go screaming through all the mods here. So these are, I want to say, my standard mods. And we've added a couple things, as you notice by the description. Experimentation with torpedoes. So I've been watching a couple of my favorite space engineers YouTubers, and they're playing with the torpedo mod. And I thought it might be fun to sit down and actually do some experimenting myself and see what kind of clang we can inspire, and see what disasters happen accordingly. So anyway, my favorite mods. We see the Kenty Blocks mod. That's my mod. That's my fun in the game. DT Drifting Thoughts combined mod. So Drifting Thoughts had a bunch of mods out there that I used to subscribe to, and in fact still do, and kind of stopped supporting. They vanished, and I don't know what happened to them. But what I was intending is, rather than having 6 or 7 mods, I put them all into one, and then it's a local mod. So it's literally, if I can find some of the mods here of what they are. So gameplay and graphical tweaks. So you see the DTs there. Gameplay and graphical tweaks is the first one there on the left side. That's not part of it, but you can look that one up if you want to know what that one looks like. Armored camera is in there. Conveyors. Conveyors is lengthy conveyors. So it's a conveyor, just a conveyor tube, that is 2 blocks long, 3 blocks long, and 4 blocks long. And they're available in large and small varieties. So fantastic mod. I love the hell out of it. Interior conveyors. So basically it takes an interior block, and then puts conveyors in it. So fairly straightforward, but you know, taking a conveyor and putting it through a wall, your only choices in the game, in the vanilla game, are to go through a conveyor, and that's kind of boring. So if you're trying to do something that you want a certain ambiance, then this interior conveyors mod from Drifting Thoughts really is cool. That's part of the combined mod there. Let me see what else. There was definitely a couple more. Well, I thought there was a couple more things. Perhaps not. Huh. Alright. DBM. Darth Biomech. Okay, so there's a bunch of mods that go into that one. AI Core, if you see here. Cryopods is another one. Big Gate, Docking Ring. There's 6 of them. Power mods, power lines. What What else? Interior door might actually be one. Well, I think there's 6 mods in there. But anyway, what I've done is basically, instead of having all these mods subscribed to, which I still, as you can see, subscribe, basically combined it into a local mod, so it can load singly. It takes up 1 slot, and yeah, that's an OCD thing. So Darth Biomech, if rumors hold, has kind of dropped out of the ASE modding community, so not so nice. So mid-space admin helper commands. I highly recommend this. It gives you a lot of flexibility on the command line to do a lot of different things, very useful things, anywhere from server admin to ship control, which is to say to really reach into the world and do some very powerful controls. So I like it. Automatic ore pickup. Ore pickup with drills used to be a big thing because large drills, small drills, and hand drills, everything used to it would pick up like 90% of the ore that it was mining, and then the rest would kind of just float around. And if you were really wanting to be diligent, then you had to literally stop your drills. If you were in a ship, go out, pick stuff up. They integrated the ore pickup into the large and small drills, so within the game, that's been taken care of. But your hand drill still needs some help. So what this does now is just focus on the hand drills themselves, and it will pick up all the ore to the extent of your inventory. So when your inventory is full, then obviously you're going to have ore going everywhere. Easy inventory. This is a mod that I've been kind of playing with. There are sometimes I'm having disastrous results. So the idea behind this one is, when you're building, it's an aid when you're in survival. And you basically select the block on your toolbar. That block is active. You come up to a container where those materials are, and you right click on the port. And the problem with right click, which is disturbing, is that right click is a delete. So I've had the problem of, I'm really intending to pull the materials in because the easy inventory script does it that way, but I end up deleting the container. And of course that becomes the issue when you accidentally have Space Master on, is when that happens. So it's a me screw up, but it's been very challenging. So easy inventory. Again, if you do a lot of building in survival, I do highly recommend it. Conveyor expansion. The only thing I can say is, so Killer Corp, KC, this adds in all the conveyors that are missing, okay, from the vanilla game. Now, why they're not in the vanilla game, the question is really, why the hell not? But this adds them all in. This is an awesome mod pack. It really is. Docking cameras. Now, I don't use these very often in the tutorials because I've been trying to stay with mostly vanilla stuff. Now, obviously, there's a lot of really neat mods out there. So, trying to stay within vanilla when you're really, having a lot of fun. Now, vanilla can be fun, obviously, when we're building stuff. There is the challenge of building. So building within the built-in limitations of the game can be a lot of fun. Because there's so many mods out there that I hate to use the words like make it easy, but they make a lot of things very, very easy. Um, trying to overcome the challenges that are built into the game inherently, um, it's a lot of fun to just go pure vanilla and launch and have fun. So docking cameras. What does docking camera do? Well, a docking camera, it's an offset camera that you can literally build on top of a connector, or rather on the side of a connector, and it uses the side as a mount point, and then the camera itself is literally sitting right in the nose of that connector. So when you do when you set that camera active, you're literally looking out from the perspective of the connector. So whether you're guiding a ship into your space station, or you're on a ship trying to dock with a connector, docking cameras are beautiful, beautiful things. Airlock block. This is a really popular block. It's a single block that has a door on two sides. So you tee on the door, the inner door closes, it depressurizes the box, then the outer door opens. You climb into it, punch the button again, the outer door closes, the airlock repressurizes, and in you go. It's a single block, so it's really cool. I like the thing. Cargo teleporter. Cargo teleporter, in a nutshell, teleports cargo. It looks like a sorting conveyor, but it literally, by using a radio antenna, not a laser antenna, a radio antenna, teleports cargo that you put into it, or because it is like a sorter, you can do drain all, and it will just suck everything in. It uses the same filtration systems that sorters do, so however you want to work with it. I found it extremely useful in miners. This is where I use it the most, and literally as your drills are mining, the teleporter pulls the ore in, teleports it to your shipper station, and then your shipper station can process everything. So you literally never fill up your inventory on your miner. So I love these things. Is it considered cheating? Don't know. It's a matter of perspective, I guess. Using any mods, somebody could argue, well, that's cheating because it's not vanilla. If we think about the era that Space Engineers is supposedly taking place, for those of you who remember when it used to put the quotes on the loading screens, there was multiple references to Wiki of 2077. Okay, so if we imagine it's 2017 now, which means 60 years in the future. Now, if we have enough technology, enough capability to send us to solar systems far beyond our own, wouldn't we have figured out how to do, I mean, we've figured out how to do faster than light drive. So couldn't we have figured out how to transport matter from point A to point B easily without a connector? So I think we would have. So is this really truly cheating given the era and technology? I don't think so. So you see the note here, this mod is abandoned. So PayCast, yeah, it is not supporting the mod anymore, but it still works. Conveyor air vent. What is conveyor air vent? It is a conveyor with an air vent. What does that really mean? Well, you take the conveyor, it's got 6 ports on it, right? So you stick it in there and it can go any direction. So the only differential here is that it's got an air vent on one of the sides. So it can mount flush in a wall and still act as a conveyor. So 6 ports normally, 5 ports in, 5 ports out, however you want to use it, but with an air vent. So I love it because I can recess those air vents into the wall and use it within whatever conveyor system that I already have in place. So it's awesome stuff. Energy weapons. These were broken. I don't know if they're still... broken or not. I haven't tested these. It adds a small plasma cannon and a laser turret. The laser turrets, they're awesome. The only thing I can recommend as far as seeing these things in action is go to Ectosage's video channel and have a look. The Iron Snowflake had them installed, and he's actually done a very large scale, I suppose it could be either a offensive or defensive ship, but it has like 150,000 of these, so definitely take a look. Energy shields. I can't say enough about energy shields. Energy shields are a lot of fun. It's gone through several evolutions, but energy shields. So think Star Trek, think Star Wars, whatever. Energy shields, right? Protects you for bombardment, protects you from small arms, large arms. Uses electricity as a shielding mechanism. It can even protect you when something runs into you. I'm notorious for trying to dock and getting just a little bit too close too fast because I've got too much weight, and oops, bounce off the side of my ship and damage something. So energy shields, they'll even protect from that. ESO upgrade module. There's a lot of upgrade modules out there. This particular upgrade module takes the place of all of the in-game vanilla modules, as well as is a upgrade module for the energy shields. The energy shields comes with 2 upgrade modules available. You can put up to 16 on the large upgrade or large shield generator. So it's really nice. It gives you some extra boost there. Oh, pardon me. OCD tanks. Love these things. It gives you a lot of flexibility in the tanks as far as what the tanks are. So there's 3 varieties of tanks: a 1x1x1 block, a 1x2x1 block, and a 1x3x1 block. And they're available in both large and small. There's a variety of gas generators there, so really neat stuff. The models on it are great, so definitely like it. Prosimian production armored conveyors. What does this mean? Well, they're armored conveyors, just like it says on the tin there. So armored conveyors, what can you say about them? They're armored, they're conveyors. Pretty straightforward stuff. A nanite control factory. For those of you who have not played with the nanite control factory, it is wonderful. It's a lot of fun. You literally build these things. Now these things are incredibly hungry on resources. So if you're building these in a survival world, it's gonna be a lot of effort, and I mean a lot. But when you get one done, it is so worth it, because you can be welding up everything, put the basic blocks down, and then nanites take over for you. It's awesome. But like I said, they're very component hungry, into the like 1200, I think, superconductors. So be prepared if you're going to use them. Twin welders and grinders. I love these because they have a very large welding and grinding radius. Very powerful things, available on large and small ships. Scaffold. What is a scaffold? Well, it's as if you took a light armor block, ground it down to the #1 build state. Okay, so it's literally just scaffolding material, you know, bracing within the block. So nice. I have a lot of fun. The downside to grinding blocks down, especially when you're using nanite control factories, is it will build them for you. It sees an unfinished block and says, I'm going to go to town on this, and it does. So if you're intentionally wanting an unfinished block, that's what this mod will do for you. Now it doesn't do the things like the wheels and the pillars and stuff like that, but it's the 4 basic blocks that, like armor blocks, so the block, the slope, the corner, and the inverted corner. So that's the 4 blocks that contain. So The other two mods that was the whole purpose for this video, even though I really got off on a tangent here on mods and what they are, and what I'll probably do is rename this thing to be my favorite mods, or my standard mods, is these large block torpedo parts. So it says large block, but if you look this one up on the Steam Workshop, and you can see what the number is there. Collection of parts to make various torpedoes, missiles, railgun, ammo, etc. There's a lot of features here. This is a really in-depth torpedo parts, but the mod itself on the Steam Workshop there says large and small blocks, so I'm presuming that it really is large and small blocks. Then they're by a different modder. Is a missile guidance block. This is a separate mod, but what it does is it actually adds a guidance block that you can point the missile in the general direction of an enemy, and it will actually lock on target. And then if your missile or torpedo, whatever you want to call it, has a gyro, it will literally guide the gyro in. If you want to see some examples of this, the website shows quite a few. The Steam Workshop page shows quite a few. Also, the XP Gamers, Captain Shack, one of my more favorite YouTuber, SE YouTubers, is doing a series. Mod everything, exploration mod it all, I think is how he put it. So it's exploration, so it's using the exploration mod. You can see this one right here. This is actually the one that he's using. And in the midst of all that is kind of every episode he tries a different mod. Just kind of changes up the mods. Well, I'd like to use this one. I'd like to use this one. So he changes it up a little bit. The ones he hasn't used in the past, he might pull out, and he maintains a running list on the stream pages. These are mostly streamed live on Sunday, and he usually has a mod list there on the stream page to show you what mods are actually up and running. So anyway, he's been playing with this, and you can see some of the trials, the errors, the comedy, the clang, and everything else that go with these. So anyway, the whole purpose was to get to the point where we have these two running in the world. So without further ado, obviously I've gone through all of the mods there. So what I'm going to do is start this to loading. We're going to do the OK. So this is my main building environment standard mods. Okay, I've got one that has the just full mod complement. We're going to click on advanced here just to make sure we're doing everything. So realistic. Inventory size, it's really kind of your choice as to how we do this. Why am I going into survival if we're building? Well, there are certain game mechanics that really only function in survival. Inventory is just one of them. I like running in survival even if I happen to be running Space Master, because you have the inventory size. So when you're building something in Space Engineers and you have no inventory size controls, it's really hard to figure out how much storage space do I need, weight, all of that sort of thing that really does play a role when it comes to your designs and building. Why do I have inventory size set on 3? Well, 3 is better than basically not having any inventory. But 10 is just a bit extreme sometimes, and I guess it's really your preference on how you do it. Assembler efficiency. Now right now I've got everything set to realistic. Does it really matter? Probably not right now, because we're not doing a whole lot of assembling and refining. If you were, then obviously that would play a role. Right now we're just kind of focusing on really two things. We have to have a delivery ship, so effectively a bomber. Something to carry these missiles into the proverbial combat zone. And number two, something that would build the missiles. Now, whether I integrate that onto the ship, onto the bomber, I may. I'm actually seriously thinking about it just because. I really want an effective methodology of building. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to do that. So that's part of the reason why I called this an experimentation with torpedoes, because I'm purposefully not going to sit down and do a design plan. It's going to be totally from scratch, including what parts do we put on the torpedoes. Obviously, with the sheer number of parts that mod puts on the table for you, you can do anything you want. So I'm going to have a lot of fun here, and we're going to try and come up with a standard missile build. We'll probably have a couple different ones, small ones, BLMP loads, blind loaded and plugged, by the way, or actual warheads. And I know you can stack warheads on the missiles, so it should be a lot of fun either way. Max objects, what does that mean? The number, so you can see here, the maximum number of small objects floating in space, which is ore, ingots, components, whatever. It says values higher than 64 can significantly affect performance. That is a true statement. How much it affects everything, it really depends on what else is going on in the game. So I have had games that ran this all the way out to 1024 and it ran smoothly, and then I've had other games where this was out to 1024 and the sheer amount of gibberish in the game really caused things to lag horribly. So I've gotten to the point where I set it at 256. Why 256? Well, this will enable me to collect objects when there are indeed objects out in space, like when I break open a container and need to make something work. But yet it's not so extreme that it causes a just huge and unplayable amount of lag. So that was the idea there. Max backup save. So what's going on in the background is the game is actually saving in the background. Okay, so how many backups is it saving? And this is where you define that. You can go out to 1,000. Okay, why you would need 1,000 backups, I'm not sure. So 5 is fine. Whoops. 5. We're trying to get back to 5. There's 5. Max ship size, max block per player. I tend to turn these off. Eventually, the number of blocks will start to lag the game. Okay, it's just one of those things that they discovered along the way. Whether it's actually in your view or not, it will eventually lag the game. So what's the max ship size? And that varies. There's information about this on the Keen website, on the wiki, so you can look that up if you're really curious. But there are very definitive block size. Maximum blocks per player, I think, is like 100,000 blocks. But so I turn all that off. Limit world size, I leave that unlimited. So it's just huge. This is like 4.5 astronomical units across, I think, is what Keen had originally said. If you don't know what an astronomical unit is, that's the distance from the center of the Earth to the center of the Sun. Our Sun, by the way. So quite a distance indeed. Okay. Respawn ship cooldown, default divided by 2. Okay. So don't run into this very often because I try not to die. But Obviously, if you die every 35 seconds, then that's going to be a little bit of an issue. View distance, 20 kilometers. Okay, so view distances can cause some issues. Day duration. Why is this all grayed out? Because I turn off sun rotation. All the other things. Enable spectator and third-person view. I like to have those on. So the things I turn off with tool shake. I don't really care for tool shake. I don't find it necessarily to be realistic as far as what's going on, grinding and welding and drilling. Now, yeah, drills are going to bounce you around a little bit if you consider what it's really doing, you know, breaking rock and dirt apart. But yeah, don't really care for the tool shake thing. In this case, we've got thruster damage and destructible blocks turned on, so we can really devastate things. Sun rotation turned off. Right now we're going to turn off random encounters, in-game scripts, because we use these things. We use scripts occasionally. Enable oxygen, enable air tightness. Those two I think go together. Enable jetpack, obviously, if you want to get around. Respawn with tools. Well, again, I'm not intending on dying very often here, but maybe. Voxel destruction. So if voxel destruction is not enabled, then things like missile impacts and that sort of thing won't do anything. In this particular world, because there are not planets per se, large asteroids certainly, but not planets, then that doesn't necessarily play a large role. You know, we can deform the asteroids because the asteroids are indeed voxels. So, all right, okay, and okay again. The selected game is more limited, yes, because I was playing in creative. All right, so standard mods, and we're gonna load. So one of the things I'm trying here and experimenting with, the video resolution in Space Engineers, because all the text is really huge and everything on your screen is pretty huge and all that, and you can't really go to you know, crazy, insane resolutions. I mean, the game runs in it, but you're not really at those resolutions. It really just you know, superimposes all of the stuff on your screen exactly as it would at virtually any resolution. So this particular video is running at 720p, 30 frames a second. I'm trying to get to the point where I can do a reasonable sized video and not take a better part of a day to actually upload the video. So most of my videos, which I've captured at 1080, 1080p at 30, and ironically enough, the 1080p at 30 frames a second and the 1080p at 60 frames a second did not have a significant differential in size. I would have thought that they would be reasonably, the 60 frames per second would be twice the size of the 30 frame per second ones, but that is not the case. So that must be something about the video, the way it does the progressive video, the progressive scanning in the video. Don't know. I don't know enough about the video schemes to understand fully what the mechanics are behind it. So anyway, trying a 720 in ESO, I found that 720 is just not high enough resolution to capture everything on the screen to the point where it's actually clear and readable. You know, if you were to play the videos and actually look, I've got some very, very small text on the screen, and it's hard to see. All right, so here we are in the environment here. Again, there's nothing here, so nothing but a bright, bright sun shining in the face. All right, so let me see. I was thinking about doing a couple things off screen, but all right, I'm gonna pull up and we'll go ahead and show you guys where this is. So here we go. This tiny, tiny box here. That's my my computer out here. We're gonna go into, I have some blocks and I just have to figure out, I'm looking for a target. I made a target, it was actually powered. Target, 20 by 20 by 20 by 20. So we're gonna bring that in. So I'm gonna put that into my my mods world here. And I was looking for, I have parts. Here we go, parts. We are looking for vessel parts, and these are all the different vessel parts that we have. And what I wanted to do is a so let's bring some of these different things in. So what we have is a dual cockpit, which is actually fighter cockpits. So there's two different versions there, and then a thruster package for a small shuttle. And the reason I'm bringing these in is I want to see if we can use them to kind of make the build a little quicker. So that's out of my archive. So you can see I have a bunch of gibberish here in my blueprint thing here, but we're gonna. So that's what that was. So back into here, we're going to punch up F10, and you can see where all these things are. So thruster package, target, which we just dragged in there, and then dual ship cockpit. You can actually see what those look like. So there's the B1, and there's the V2, which has oxygen generation on there. So you can see the differential there is actually 1 block difference in height. Actually, is it 1 block or 2? Nope, just 1. But it's backed up 2 blocks, 3 blocks actually, whereas that's only 2 blocks. So I think we're going to try this one just for the fun of it. Now, obviously it let me in there, let me select that, so Space Master is turned on right now. And I just want to look at this thing here and see what it looks like. So we're going to paste that in the world here. So we have a remote control here, which is good. We have an oxygen generator. We have conveyors. We have reactors. We have small containers here, and clearly conveyors. So obviously this oxygen generator is not only supplying for here but here. So let's actually bring this up and see what we have. So we have a 3 small reactors, oxygen generator, and it is a vanilla oxygen generator. It's not a Kenti mod oxygen generator. And then we have the 2 cockpits. We have a standard, it looks like, container. So let's actually look at that and see what it looks like. Yeah, 3,000. So we know those are standard containers there. Or actually, sorry, here, 375. Yep, standard containers there. And small reactors, which also have a pitiful amount of space there. All right. So what I am thinking about doing is using this as the bomber mod for the basis of the bomber. So we are at 40 minutes here of the video. I want to try and limit videos to about an hour or slightly more, especially because I tend to get going. And so let's see what can we do here. So let me get out to function 8. We're going to turn that off, that off, that off, that off. Gatling turret. Let's bring that in. So we talked about the plasma turret and the laser turret. The neat thing about these is they're literally two blocks. So you have this base block and then you have the block on top. So versus these missile turrets, which actually are a two-layer 3x3. Okay, so 2x3x3 versus a 1x1x2. So these actually are pretty neat. They're not quite singularly as powerful as either one of these, but together, wow, they can really pack a wallop. Alright, so why am I putting Gatling guns in here? Because I'm going to put Gatling guns on the front. Why a bomber really does need at least a little bit of offensive capability, right? Or perhaps defensive capability, depending on how you want to argue that one. Small ship rocket launcher. Alright, and that's the non-reloadable one. This is the reloadable one. Alright, so the other thing we need here is this one, which is the small conveyor tubes. So we talked about drifting thoughts and these conveyor tubes. So this is what the conveyor tubes are. So literally the conveyor tube by 2, by 3, and by 4. And you have the same thing available in the small tubes. Alright. Alright, let's see what we can come up with as far as guns. I like having a lot of guns on the front here. So how can we go about doing that? Figure out how we are going to put the guns. Now remember, the guns have a port on the side, right? So we're going to do a gun, and then put a conveyor in the middle. And one of the things I'm going to do is put, do we want a conveyor there? Or do we want to put it underneath? Let's put it underneath. I think we're going to have some stuff down here. Because these guns only have the ports on the side, then the only way to get that third gun out here is to literally do like this. So this connects these two side guns, port and starboard, and then the two connector blocks underneath, the two conveyors underneath, that ultimately connect onto this conveyor, which then basically pipes in these three guns. Alright, I think we're sticking with light armor, so what I'm going to do is block and block. In fact, you know what I'm going to do here instead, because we do not yet have an antenna. Let me go back out to 8, G, to bring up my toolbar menu, blocks, antenna. We'll drag our antenna down because we do ultimately need an antenna. So there's our antenna, and then we're going to do a slope over here. So back to toolbar 1, we do a slope block. Okay, so just because, so shift, what did I do? P, which allowed me to select a color. Okay, so this is of course tiger orange here. Doesn't quite look like tiger orange in DX11, but hey, I'm going to do T, which turns off what they called automatic rotation, because I've found automatic rotation to be infuriating rather than useful. And then get my block rotated around the same way. If you remember, when you're pasting colors or you're painting, a single middle button click on your mouse is going to paint whatever block is highlighted. So there's the block that I'm in control of, which is the now tiger orange one, and then you see the red highlight around this other slope block. So if I punch the middle button, bing, you see that one changes to the color. If I do a control, it's going to change in a 3-block radius, or sorry, a 3-block diameter area. Bink. Okay, which is a little hard to see in this case because the cockpit, for example, is within that 3-block radius, but or 3-block area. But all right, but you notice down here at the bottom, this didn't change. Okay, so shift and center is a much larger block. So what we're going to do is change all of these things using shift. That way everything is now tiger orange, and we will be able to color at our leisure. Alright, so do I intend to operate entirely in creative mode? For now, yes. And the reason for that is just expedience. So number 3, which changes into these other blocks, and while we're talking about other blocks, let us go ahead and turn mirroring on, which is this. And if I really wanted to, for the moment, we will turn this on until we get the front of this vessel done. So that's that one. N to turn all this off, and then N to actually select what we just did. N is in November. Alright, let's go back to number 1, which was our slope. We'll turn that upright and put those blocks on where they were supposed to be there. Okay, so now we have that working pretty well. Then we will add, okay, back to the block number 3, spin that, and then add the tip onto this, like that. Alright, so that's kind of the front of the ship there. What else are we going to do? So, one of the things I tend to not like doing with Gatling guns because of the flare is get the cameras close to the ends. So here's what we're going to do. I don't know if this is actually going to work or not. Okay, I think that's where I need that to be. N, because I'm going to turn off mirroring for the moment because I don't know what I'm going to do up top there yet. And then I'm going to put in, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have turned off. Okay, Space Engineers is doing its thing again, where it deletes a block but doesn't actually delete a block. Alright, and then we're going to put a camera. So let's go back out to toolbar number 8, G for the second time, and we're going to look up camera and put that there, and then we'll put the camera there. Now the camera technically is 1 block behind the nose of the weapon there, so we may or may not get. Let's go ahead and get in. G, we'll put our weapons and tools. So Gatling gun. I have 0 ammunition in there, and then we're actually going to escape if it actually works. K, we have Gatling gun 1 and 2, and then 3, and we're just going to call these how about guns forward, because we may actually put other guns somewhere. We need inventory on, but toolbar and terminal we're going to turn off. Cargo, fuel, ice, save, toolbar off, terminal off, small reactors. We're going to call those reactors. Save, toolbar off, inventory stays on, and terminal off. We've got 2 cockpits here. We're eventually going to use those for something. So we're going to send this out to the max of 5,000, which may or may not be intelligent in the long run, because obviously an antenna is a broadcast device. We really don't want our enemies to be receiving our broadcast, even by way of, well, something's there. I have no idea what they're saying because it's encrypted, but hey, you still see the radio signal. So let's go ahead and call this what it is. This is the KTC Bomber. We'll actually go out here and we'll change this KTC Bomber, and this will be V1 for right now. And inventory, basic inventory. Okay, so back to G. We now have groups, and we're going to drag the guns out here and turn it off. Why is that? Well, because, well, filter, but the control key and the left mouse button are interconnected. Okay, so if you press control, now why Keen Software House thought this was a great idea, I have no idea. You use control for everything. Okay, so when you're selecting between your toolbars, control is used for a lot of things. Why they felt control should also be used as the fire button, I have no idea. So if you have your Gatling guns turned on and you have ammunition, regardless of what toolbar you happen to be on, if you press control, you will fire. If you are lined up on a friendly, just so happens, then you shoot the friendly and the friendly is no longer friendly. So I've found the control key being tied to the fire is absurd. So this is my methodology of getting around that. So even though my weapons may be armed, they're turned off. So they cannot fire because they're turned off. Okay, so that's like my safety. So 2 in this case turns them off. Alright, let me get out of this. The illustration here is, so this is a Shift F10. The illustration here is to determine what the flash is going to look like in the camera. Okay, so T to get in, I for inventory. I may or may not have any room anywhere, so we'll put as much as we can in here, in here, in here, and in here. So this is actually one of those moments where it might be a good idea to have 10 by inventory. Okay. So what do we want to see? Go back into G. We're going to actually put our camera up here so we can see what's going on. There's a couple of reasons why you want your camera up front. In this case, the camera is 1 block above the guns, but if I go into that camera, I can zoom in with that camera. So you can actually get a lot finer resolution, a lot more granular detail on what you're shooting at a pretty significant distance. In fact, beyond the range of the weapons themselves. So this was basically what we want to do here. So in this case, let me escape out of this. 3 to go into our camera, and like I said, we can zoom a lot with the camera. So obviously I don't have any gyros. I was going to point it at the asteroid there, and can't do that. So 2 to turn the guns on, and then actual firing, which it's not doing. Strange. Much better. Of course, because I have no gyros, then this is the thing. Alright, so the good news is here, I do not have muzzle flash, which is a good thing. Alright, so out of the camera, I have no gyros, but I am spinning on an axis. So I'm going to do the daring thing here. Oh, I'm not spinning on an axis. Alright, so there was a demonstration of the things that you can do with the admin commands. So that was literally a stop command, which takes whatever ship is in the reticle or whatever one you tell it to do to stop. Okay, so alright, let's go down here. Alright, probably not the best idea in the universe to put a gyro on top of your containers, because gyros tend to explode. So this is kind of inviting clank into your world. So 2 gyros. The other question is, do we want to use ion thrusters? Do we want to go hydrogen? What do we want to do as far as this particular bomber goes? And that's going to be the challenging question. Alright, the next question is, how do we want to interconnect all this stuff? Maybe I should be a little more intelligent here. What the hell? Alright, sorry. I guess I have to be smarter than the game and actually pay attention to what I'm doing here. Alright, we'll put this block back in here, not that block. How about that block? Back in here. We're going to get rid of those 2. Go back to our number 8, number 2. Select that, and then G. Cargo blocks is what we're looking for. We actually are going to do a small cargo container. And then we're going to not going to do that. Alright, I'm going to have to paste them one at a time here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to add some more cargo containers, but I don't really have enough room for a medium or having said that, might have some room. So let's go 1 and armor slope here, N, and we're going to add there. Okay, so even though I had mirroring turned on in this case, it did nothing because of how we had this set up. Alright, so the question here is, how do we want to set up effectively wings? Wings in this case are going to effectively be our mounting points for the missiles. So how do we want to do that? The other question, of course, is how do we want to integrate thrusters? Are we going to do hydrogen? If so, how are we going to go about doing that? Again, preference on how to do things is really up to you, for obvious reasons. I prefer hydrogen. Why? It's the best of both worlds. We have 2 worlds now. We have space, we have planets. We have inside gravity wells and outside of gravity wells, which is really to say we have open space and we have atmospheres. Ion thrusters don't work in atmospheres. So we can't use ion thrusters if we expect to use this bomber on a planet. We can't use atmospheric thrusters if we expect to use this bomber in space. So hydrogen is the one that will work in both environments. So I tend to prefer hydrogen as a propulsion mechanism. So how can we integrate? Or maybe at this moment we shouldn't, and instead just build our wings and see what happens. The other thing that that we need to do at some point is possibly put some landing gear on here. But I think we'll wait on that as well, because by adding our wings on here, then we'll have, I think, a much better perspective on where everything actually is. So I was trying to decide, do I want to have this this whole bomber kind of be a wing? How far back does it go? What does it actually look like in the overall scheme? And I think I'm going to go ahead and just for sake of working things. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and turn off some of these things. So in this case, I'm going to turn off my secondary plane. So I'm just mirroring side to side. N to turn everything off, N to turn it back on, so you just see the red there, which is our mirroring indicator. So we're going to use, sorry, I didn't want to do that, 2. Okay, this becomes a now, if I were really intelligent here, I would have gone ahead and put on the wings mod and actually used the wing pieces on here, which actually may be a good idea. I have not used the wing mod in the past, so that may be another experimentation that would be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and take this off. Down see that. So we're going to take those pieces off. I think we're going to break right here and continue with part 2. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to load up 2 more mods. One is, I think it's Digi's wings, and there's another wing mod that adds on to it. And as far as I know, the new mod is just different types of wing blocks. I don't think there's any of the physics I don't think actually changes, but I don't know. So I will read up on that and then probably load those 2 mods in, because I think a bomber with actual wings might be kind of cool. So this is Kenty Tiger signing off, and we will check you out next time.